we are, cooking, cutting up, and keeping it real. And we are at From the Ground Up Pottery. And here we are. Michael, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Michael Mahan. I'm the potter here at From the Ground Up. And I'm doing a little demo here this morning. This is just a bottle shape. And I'm finishing it up here. Just making this neck just the way I like it.
So what clay are you using? Are you using something that you explain? Have you brought that in, or something from the area? Or?
This is from Catawba County, up toward the mountains, and it's made in Star at a place called Star Works, and it's basically just the clay straight out of the ground.
Is it really?
Yeah. It's
how do you decide what you're going to use?
Well, I like this clay because it stands up well, and I can throw something tall without it distorting on the bottom. That's kind of an ugly top there. Yeah. Well, I could try to fix it, or I could just go with it.
It's like art is always in motion, isn't it?
Yeah. Sometimes when you stop the wheel, you really don't notice it anymore. But
how long have you been making pottery?
40 years, I think. Yeah, I started in the early 80s, and opened up a place called Wild Rose Pottery just down the road from here, and raised 3 children, and then around the turn of the century, we divorced, and I remarried and started a new place here. My youngest son has helped me out here, but he recently moved to Brooklyn, New York, where he makes pots and teaches there.
Oh, okay.
But he does come back and help me fire the kiln, the wood-fired kiln, which is our passion, wood firing.
Why do you like that better?
It's just I enjoy the serendipity of the environment inside the kiln, and it imprints itself onto the surface of the clay in ways you're just not quite sure what's going to happen. And sometimes you love it, and sometimes you don't love it, but usually you end up falling in love with it once you get used to the idea.
Would you say that your choice of clay and kiln are rooted in tradition?
Yeah, absolutely. I came here in the early 80s and into an area that's all about tradition, and there were about 18 potters at the time. Now there's close to over 50 potters.
That is so interesting. And is this how you spend your day, or is this a side gig?
Well, it could be doing this. It can be glazing a bunch of these that I've done.
But are you a full-time potter?
Yes, full-time potter. Been doing it for 40 years.
Do you find every piece has something unique about it?
Sure, everything has something unique about it. I suppose that's got a unique little wobble in it. But and especially after the firing, you're gonna get something that comes out and has some drip on it, or a flashing of color on it during.
So the firing actually holds something in store for you to behold when you take it out of the kiln?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. With an electric kiln, they're mostly glazes that are going to be a certain way, and you know what they're going to be like when they come out of the kiln. But with a wood firing, there's
so that's what you mean by the kiln imparting some personality onto the piece?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how many times will you fire this piece?
This will just be fired one time. I mean, but if it comes out of the kiln and I don't like it, I can refire it, which does happen. You can refire it as many times as you want to, up to a certain point. I suppose if you fire it 100 times, it'll start getting weak. All right, I'm going to pull this one off. That feels pretty good.
Well, this other one's gorgeous as well, the shape of it.
Yeah, they were the same amount of clay.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. That one's much taller, that one's much wider.
So at this stage of the game, do you have any intention about what the color scheme will be, or?
No, I don't. I'm sort of experimental stage with wood firing right now.
And when you put the clay on the wheel, do you always have a plan, or you let the art lead you, or?
Well, if
clay
I'm doing
lead you?
a demo like I'm doing today, it's not necessarily a plan. But most of the time I do. I say, all right, I'm going to throw pitchers today, or I'm going to throw mugs today, or bowls, and I'll throw, 25 to 30 or 50, or depending on the time of day that I start, and then finish those the next day. And if you're working diligently, there's always something to be done to the pots the next day, and then you start some more at the end of that day, and it's a flow that just keeps going and producing pots. And then when you got enough, then you're going to glaze them or decorate them, and so there's a lot to do to the pot before it gets fired sometimes.
We did have a stop where we saw a collection of pieces of pottery from potters from the area. It was at the Red Hare. They have a huge collection on their shelves in the living room.
Yeah,
And
right.
so as Bonnie was naming each piece, I started to think about, I'm a painter. So I was thinking about how you can recognize pieces of artwork because there's a style or a character to that artisan's work. So would you say that is true of yourself? That yours is recognizable? If you're a potter from this area, you can tell somebody's work from another person's work. Do you feel like all these years of experience that that's true of yourself?
That I can tell. Yeah, I can tell. Like I go into somebody's house nearby, even if it's a non-potter, and I see a pot, I'm over there before the end of the evening and turn it upside down and looking at it. And sometimes if it's a local potter, I can tell whose pot it is for sure.
Are there certain characteristics that would describe yours, other than what you've said already, that distinguish yours from someone else's, that give you a signature kind of feel?
Yeah, I suppose there certainly are, but I'm not as aware of those as I am of other people's pots. I think it's like, you don't know what you really look like until you see a picture of yourself.
And when it stands out against someone else's work as well, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not as aware of my certain look of my pots as I am of other people's pots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's certainly a unique day today for me, coming in from Canada and being able to stop, and having taught art for years, being able to visit with these different artists, artisans, and see their craft or their artwork and the pieces and how they're put together. To be able to have a demonstration and have it in action is an added oomph to the day. So we really appreciate you opening your home and your studio to us. So thank you very much for speaking with us today.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey y'all, cooking, cutting up, keeping it real. We are at our third stop of the day, and this is From the Ground Up Pottery. This is Mary. She's one of the potters. Say hello, Mary. Mary,
Hi, everybody.
Thank you for having us. This is beautiful, and I love the barn theme. You know, my husband farms for a living, so I love the barn theme. Beautiful stuff. And then outside, her husband is actually turning. Oh, that's pretty, Vicky.
And it's got hummingbird on.
Uh-huh. Beautiful stuff. Hello again.
Yeah, we found it, huh?
I'm going to take you guys into the next section. You've got to come do the tour, though, for yourself, y'all. In North Carolina, this is the place to be on the Seagrove Pottery Tour. I'm so glad we were able to do it with the teas because we've had tea everywhere we went. And this is hibiscus tea, and I'm in love. And these are her. There's her husband out there working, turning. Cool. Isn't that vase beautiful? These people are so talented. Beautiful. Oh, and more food. Yay. Anyway, from the ground up pottery, we'll be tagging all the videos so you can go straight to their information. Just love all this stuff. Cooking, cutting up, keeping it real.